Olórí aládé o, bàbá láṣẹ o.
Jìgbìnì bí àtàkù, òtájú onílé tájú àlejò, àkàdé o, èkejì òòṣà, aláṣà ìwọ gángan lóòṣà. You welcome our Father. On this beautiful note, we're going to rise on our feet to observe the national anthem. Shall we rise? Shall we all rise? For opening prayer, just the new signal that I'm just receiving right away. It's an opening, it's a, yes, because I'm supposed to have that.
For all your blessings, we thank you for this event where we celebrate our women, where we recognize them. We continue to pray that as we recognize them, they will be better recognized in the days and the months and the years to come. Be with us today. Be with the women, be with the children, without them, but they too shouldn't do without us. So we ask this in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And the people of the Lord say, Amen. Let us say, let us have our say. Let us have our say. Welcome, Daddy. God bless you. Let's put our hands together one more time. That's at the one you will be back. Bóyá torí pé mi ò sọ Yorùbá, orúkọ tèmi ò ní padà. Olúwa mo dúpẹ́ lèmi jẹ́. Àwọn èèyàn máa ń pè mí ní aya aláyọ̀. Ẹ̀sà òbínrin mi ará ògbójò. Ṣọgbọ́n ìyọ̀gán máa fi kéèyàn gbọ́ngàn. Gbọ̀ngàn olúfi ilé bàbá tó bí mi lọ́mọ mi ò ṣọ́ máa lè. Ọ̀ṣun nílé bàbá mi ò. Gbọ̀ngàn olúfi nílé àrògòdìjà. Èmi ọmọ afíjú lé. Ẹ̀sà òbínrin ará ògbójò. Ṣọgbọ́n ìyọ̀gán máa fi kéèyàn láyọ̀ gbọ́ngàn. Pardon me, I have to hear myself. Tony Saraki. Let's put our hands together. Let's put our hands together for her.
The Ooni of Ife. Good evening. Your Royal Highnesses, our Royal Mother, Erelu Kuti, my mother, who has always been supporting all of my initiatives from Africa Fashion Week London, Africa Fashion Week Nigeria, the Queen Moremi Global Initiative. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, I'm going to start with my sister, my big sis, all the way from London, supporting Africa Fashion Week as well, Her Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Mrs. Abdulrazak. the First Lady of Kwara State. Thank you very much. My chairperson and special guest of honor, because it's the right thing to do. It resonates with the discussion of the moment, breaking the bias. So remembering the lives and legacies of our ancient role models and celebrating their achievements during Women's History Month is important to us. Unspoken is a narrative of female leadership with a focus on women who reigned as kings hundreds of years ago and their great achievements. So by telling their stories, we believe that our young women of today can read about them and be inspired by them, as it's important for women to have a past that they can leapfrog on into the future. The book is about race and the resilience of an African woman. It talks about community responsibilities of an African woman. It talks about how they contributed to building their various communities, their commercial roles, their enterprise roles, and their community roles, and how they were able to combine these great leadership roles with their maternal roles as well. The book is a reawakening of their legacies. It shows that our culture does not relegate or undermine women. So making their stories accessible to women today is really important. We're grateful to the God of creativity for enabling us to complete this Herculean task that we started back in 2018 and concluded in 2022. To our chairman, the Ooni of Ife, we offer a heartwarming thank you. We wouldn't have been able to publish and complete this book, this great piece of history, if we didn't do it under your stable, as we were faced with so many challenges, so many denials about this great piece of history. My team and I are grateful to everyone who supported us in putting this book together, who supported us in putting this great masterpiece together. Dr. Lola Dari, Balogun Aki Oshutokun, Omobakunle Adeyemo, Mrs. Falade, Mr. Israel Fatola, who actually put these amazing paintings together representing the female monarchs. And to all our special guests, our panelists as well, my friend Omolara Wood, our presidential aspirant, Mrs. Khadija Okunu Lamidi, and to Yemisi, Professor Balogun Oshutokun, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Once again, I'm Princess Roka Adeyemi.
Of Unspoken, Oba Obinrin, a chronicle not of queens, but of female kings. Today, the 31st of March, the last and final day of Women's History Month around the world, here in Lagos, Nigeria, and thus to celebrate historical female royal leadership, hitherto unspoken and thus unknown and unlearned by so many of our generations, as we actually do stand on a gender precipice in our nation. Only recently, Nigeria's lawmakers, elected and empowered primarily and federally, to protect and uphold the rights and dignities of all the Nigerian people, once again cemented a perplexing setback for us, for our women, and for our girls. Our women are locked in a cage of underrepresentation in Nigeria. As of February 2021, only 3.6 of the seats in Parliament were held by women in a country where 49% of the population is female. Currently, only 7 out of 109 senators and 22 of the 360 House of Representatives members are women. So our legislature, our lawmakers, like so many arms of the federal government, is an all-boys club where girls are apparently not welcome. So as I prepared to open this discourse of history and to chart our future history, I found myself asking, like so many others, does Nigeria respect the rights of women? Because the Yoruba culture that we represent here in this room understands and respects that it is greater representation and equality of opportunity that has been proven through decades and across nations to be the pivot and the panacea of building and sustaining strong strong and vibrant democracies and indeed development. From peak colonial times in the early 21st century, the role and status of women in Nigeria has continuously evolved, but the image of a helpless, oppressed, and marginalized group has undermined the proper study, and very little recognition has been granted to the various integral functions that Nigerian women have performed throughout history. In this period, division of labor was along gender lines, and women actually did control and lead such occupations such as food processing, mat weaving, pottery making, and cooking. Land was actually communally owned, so women had access to land through their husbands or through their parents. So although a man was the head of the household in a patrilineal system, older women had control of the labor of younger family members and thus built their power. At this juncture, I would also like to highlight the strong recognition within our Yoruba tradition of the philosophy and perception of Abiyamo, the Yoruba concept of motherhood. Motherhood occupies a special place in African cultures and societies, regardless of whether a particular society displays a patrilineal or matrilineal kinship system. Mothers are the essential building block of social relationships, identities, and indeed our societies. Iyalode, a position of great privilege and power which you did not have to be born into a royal lineage to hold. As we know, the title of Irinu and Iyaoba must be held by those of royal blood. In politics, Yoruba women's ability to control resources and people in the household at the same time allowed her to exercise public power. A woman could therefore use food production to gain respect. She could control her children and influence the men in her household through this power. She could also evoke the spirit of the gods in her favor. Or she could simply withdraw and use the kitchen as her personal domicile for interaction with her colleagues, friends, and children. But beyond the household, power was generally visibly dominated by men. The Queen Mother, however, a powerful title in all our cultures, could be bestowed upon the King's Mother or a free woman of considerable stature. In her own palace, the Queen Mother presided over meetings with subordinate title holders in her support. Yoruba and Hausa legends both describe periods when women were actually kings or heroines. Such women such as Moremi of Ile-Ife and Amina of Zaria are notable legendary figures as powerful queens in the Ondo and Daura histories. However, the most serious threat to the influence and privileges of women occurred during the 20th century when patriarchy combined with colonial changes to alter gender relations. As male chiefs collaborated with the British colonial administration in collecting taxes and governing, the position of female chiefs declined in importance. When the economy became increasingly geared towards the production of cash crops for export, Nigerian men in European firms dominated the distribution of rubber, cocoa, groundnuts, and palm oil. Women were pushed to the background and were forced to shift to the production of subsistence crops. The previous land tenure system that had prevented land alienation gave way to land commercialization, favoring those with access to money gained from the sale of cash crops. Western-style education also favored boys over girls, and thus largely excluded women from many of the new occupations introduced by colonialism.
I have to say it one more time that women are very, very unique. Put your hands together for us one more time.
Great pleasure to stand before you this afternoon to give the keynote address of this wonderful occasion of the launch of the book. The one that I find quite intriguing is Unspoken, because I have been I've been a very active participant in this cultural area of active female kings amongst us. And the key word that I discovered in that arena is unspoken. When it comes to women, it must be a hush. So this title is most apt. I'm going to be very brief because I thought I was going to be the key that will open all the other speeches. But anyway, my daughter, Mrs. Saraki, has opened the speeches. But again, I will not want to dwell on the female kings because I do not want to preempt the book Unspoken, because you need to get the book. It's absolutely interesting. So you need to read it yourself. But people do not realize that we are very cultural people and we have very deep culture which we still practice till today. So I thought maybe to satisfy some curiosity and perhaps impart some knowledge on what we do here. So I will try to dwell. My title is Erelukuti of Lagos. So I would like to dwell on what I call the powers of the first Erelukuti of Lagos, and of course talk about my own experience Erelukuti the fourth since I've been here. You know, female kingship is as old as mankind. And the list of women kings is inexhaustible. So the title of the Erelukuti is the royal spiritual and administrative equivalence of a female king. Its importance and uniqueness must be brought to the fore. It is one of a kind. And when people who are aware of the history of Lagos, and if you are not, I have a pamphlet here that will give you further details about that, or even if you read the foreword of the book. When Oba Gabaro and Akinshemoy, they were the sons of Oba Adu of Lagos. After their demise, they didn't leave any male sons to ascend the stone after them. So their sister, Erelukuti, who was also the daughter of King Adu, decided to crown herself. And of course, the word is unspoken, but she did in this Lagos, this cosmopolitan Lagos. She crowned herself. But the expected furor that ensued in a typical patriarchal society like ours, you know, the pandemonium that would have made her to actually assert her status as a king by anointing her two sons the same day, one as king and one as white cap chief of Lagos. And that's why I'm wearing a white cap today. But if you see, my white cap is beaded. Usually, if it's for the chiefs, it will be just plain fabric. So the same day, she crowned her two sons, one as king of Lagos and one as a white cap chief. So hence, the Erelukuti created a dynasty that gave rights to sons of female royals to ascend the throne of the kingdom of Lagos. And this action saw the hierarchical order of the chieftaincy law of Lagos State, where you think of the fact that it's not just Lagos Kingdom anymore. We are a state, and there are other kingdoms that are attached to Lagos State, and they also benefit from the powers of the first Erelukuti. It means the children of their princesses can be kings of Lagos. That's how powerful our women were in those days. The current Oba of Lagos and the current Oniru of Lagos, of Iruland, are both beneficiaries of the powers of the first Erelukuti of Lagos. I don't know if you were following. After the installation of the Oba King, some people took him to court and said, oh, well, we're not sure of his father. But he won that case because he pleaded the fact that he's a direct descendant of Oduduwa, the first of Lagos. And by the grace of God, he remains the king of Lagos till today, all due to the powers of that amazing woman who remains unsung and unspoken, her actions unspoken. This same Erelu, you know, we all know about the Eyo Festival, which has become a symbol of Nigeria. She was the first to perform the Eyo Festival in Lagos and using the fetish, the Orisha, that came from her mother's, well, she used it to celebrate the final funeral rites of her mother. And the fetish that we used it today for the Eyo came from her mother's ancestral home, the daughter, Olubani, who was the daughter of King Oshi from Ibefu, married King Adu. So when they say the kingship of Lagos is not Yoruba, it's not true at all. We are, in fact, we are more Yorubas than anybody else. Kabezi is here. There are two empires emanated from the kingdom of Ife. One was the Oyo kingdom, and the other one Benin kingdom. And you have Yorubas who went from the hinterland, created dynasties all the way to Ife. We came from Ife through Benin and through Bori, through the water to get to Lagos. So please, who is more Yoruba than anybody else? Because when we got to Benin, we became king, and it's the king from Benin that came to Lagos. The School of Lagos was the patriarchal answer to prevent the female royals from aspiring to be kings of Lagos. Unspoken, but that's the truth. Such, like in Russia, if you remember Catherine the Great, she was a very tough queen, very progressive. Most people didn't know that Russia was still very powerful when the whole of Europe were quite enlightened. And this woman was one of the early kings that brought them screaming into civilization and into the 19th century. And because she was so tough, her son, who immediately took over after her demise, actually promulgated a law that banished women from ever becoming Tsar in Russia. That was what happened here. They didn't banish her directly, but they gave the paraphernalia of an Oba. And she, after crowning her two sons, reigned till she died, sitting in between the two children in this Lagos. And in fact, she was so tough and strong because she was one of the first to interface with the Portuguese when they came to trade in Lagos. And she was so strong and so influential that her son, who was the king, actually wanted to poison her, and of course that was leaked out. So it's always been tough for women kings, but we are never given the credit. And so I just thank Kabisi and of course Princess Adelui for this book that is so most necessary, and its time has come and in fact overdue. So I hope this, with the book, people will begin to understand what Obinrin means. She also had authority over the affairs of women organizations, including markets. She is a ranking and distinguished member of the Obinrin Council, where vital decisions are taken. That is the new Erelu creation. She remains a ranking and distinguished member of the Obinrin Council, where these great decisions are taken. She is the custodian of the Palace of Lagos, and she's she's supposed to be close confidant and advisor, especially on social matters and creation of honorary chieftaincies and women's achievement. Kabisi, God bless you. Thank you for this great opportunity, and of course for me to have this platform to share a bit of history. And of course, Princess Ronke Ademuli, I'm sure she's the prompter for this book. I thank you so very much, and I wish everybody a wonderful evening. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. This remarkable event to celebrate, acknowledge, and show recognition to women, as they have shown over the years to count as a driving force in the development of our dear country and indeed the entire continent. Throughout history, the central role played by women has ensured that the stability, progress, and long-term development of nations. In the 21st century, the issues of gender balance and the need to accord women equal opportunities and allow them achieve their full potential in society have gained more momentum globally. While some progress has been made to overcome impediments to their chances of attaining leadership positions and contributing to development, area of decision making. According to the United Nations, I'm sure you will all bear with me while I could quote all the United Nations statistics. Somebody, as you heard, called me ambassador. So I'm very proud to be an ambassador of the Federal Republic after 29 years as a diplomat. According to the United Nations, investing in women and respecting their rights is the surest way to uplifting communities as well as achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. While women are not intrinsically vulnerable, their social, economic, and political conditions make them susceptible to risks and vulnerabilities. It is, however, essential to recognize that women's vulnerabilities are embedded in the social, economic, and political processes, and that the current gaps in development reinforces them. Sustainable development processes, when properly implemented, however, can encourage women's participation in leadership and governance, as well as transform the living conditions of their families and communities, while enabling them to reverse these vulnerabilities. You will agree with me that women's full and effective participation and decision-making in political, economic, and public life is essential to achieving gender equality, which in turn cannot be achieved without ending the widespread discrimination, violence, and economic and structural barriers that women and girls face. Achieving change in this regard, however, requires policy and actions that will improve women's access to secure livelihoods and economic resources, alleviate their extreme responsibilities, remove legal impediments to their participation in public life, and raise social awareness through effective programs of education and enlightenment. In addition, improving the status of women also enhances their leadership capacity at all levels and in all spheres of life. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as women, we should and can operate under the existing patriarchal system by sharing our accomplishments and ambitions so as to change and shape our community's perceptions about women's ability to lead and create a source of inspiration for women to rise above the gender bias and fear. As a seasoned diplomat who has meritoriously served the country in many missions, I'm practically aware of the positive impacts obtainable when a woman is saddled with leadership. This is evident recently in the leadership provided by the ambassadors of Hungary, Romania, who are women in evacuating Nigerian students into safety from the war in Ukraine. Our ambassadors, our female ambassadors, really performed very well in evacuating Nigerians recently. It was also a female ambassador, Ambassador Quist, who was in Sierra Leone when the war was on. And she was able to take care of the Nigerians in Sierra Leone without any problems whatsoever. And she was awarded really well for this. So you must admit that female ambassadors are making their mark. It is in this regard and in commemoration of the 2022 Women's History Month that I am using this medium to enjoin women who have found success in their respective callings to contribute to the development of other women and girls by empowering and tutoring them to always see the place of committing to excellence, as this would improve business processes, leadership and inclusivity in governance. Because as women, there is a wellspring of pride in knowing that we are so willing to support one another and seek to obtain maximum benefit from our capabilities. As you may be well aware, exactly a week ago today, Thursday, 24th of March, I helped adolescent girls drawn from secondary schools across Kwara State to a reading and discussion session where similar stories of outstanding Nigeria and African women who have distinguished themselves in their respective callings were shared and discussed to inspire young girls. While we continue to advocate for parity and inclusive leadership, it is also incumbent upon us to ensure that we instill these leadership qualities in our young girls. On my office and the Ajike People Support Center, which is an initiative I founded, held another round of skills acquisition and empowerment program for women in the commemoration of the 2022 International Women's Day. All these activities are geared towards ensuring that women and girls are empowered and better positioned to access and harness opportunities to positively impact their families and communities. In furthering this cause and ensuring due representation of women in leadership and governance, the Executive Governor of Kwara State, Madam Abdurrahman Abdurazak, signed the 35% Women Inclusion Bill on the 17th of December 2021 to complement other legislations that protect the interest of women and safeguard the welfare of vulnerable persons. Permit me, distinguished guests, to congratulate Princess Ronke Ademuyini. As she said, I've known her for a long time from London, the London Fashion Week and so many other things, to the Africa Fashion Week, and we've been supporting her for such a long time. Congrats, Ronke. Source of inspiration for Nigerian women to jettison stereotypes and aspire to be their very best. The book succinctly brings to our consciousness the fact that women before now have been an integral part of Yoruba politics. You all heard a
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Olake Abdurazak. As we pay you a visit on Sunday. My friend Mamoru, you are welcome. So it's my honor once again to invite the chief host of this
evening of speeches. And everybody here, I think we're sort of born with long speeches. An average concentration span of a typical human being shouldn't be more than 20 minutes. Anything after that, a lot of people will start to lose traction. On this note, I want to welcome once again all the communities that are here. We're here today to celebrate the nucleus of the existence of each and every one of us. The epicenter of human existence. The binding cord that actually makes the world go round. And they are our mothers, women of substance. I think you just clapped for yourself. You didn't clap for... The only person that actually carried you inside our womb, that you are very sure of, that actually brought you to this world, are our mothers. And they are our epicenter, like I said earlier on. Your paternity from your father can be in dispute, but anything that has to do with your mother and women. That is very assured. So why are we always very mute and we don't really give them that recognition? So it's very obvious we're deceiving ourselves in this world. Look at the name of this book, Unspoken. We just have to speak about them. Great things they've done in the past, presently, and in the foreseeable future. Like I said, I'm not going to bore all of us with long speeches that we've been having. But our mother here, Ooni Kuti of Lagos. Please, a resounding round of applause for her. It's not easy to be relevant over the last 50 years. She has been relevant, one way or the other. Please, another resounding round of applause for her. I want to tell each and every one of us here, she has a bigger role, a bigger shoe she's going to step into. She will become very soon Yeye Oduduwa of the entire Oduduwa. The last, a mother that we will never forget in the history of we the Yoruba people, that was in that shoe was H.I.D. Awolowo. So, our dear mother, you're going to step into that big shoe, and we will do it the way it's supposed to be done. A very big shoe. Ọlọ́run Olódùmarè á jẹ́ kí ẹ pẹ́ fún wa. Òrògbòdò ayé kò ní lù fún yín tó. Ẹ̀ní ṣubú, ẹ̀ní dànù. Because for almost 50 years, you've been relevant, and that's the truth. I want to thank the First Lady of Kwara. We write with the same hand as well.
Yes,
That's
yes.
one of my... that she speaks better English than my dad. And she's smarter. She's very smart. A resounding round of applause for her. Above all, I want to thank all of you, particularly Princess Aderonke and Oduduwa. Where are you? Please, I want you to give her a powerful, resounding round of applause. I call her Alpha Female. She doesn't rest. She bothers me for positive things in this world. When I see her call on my phone, I dare not to return it. Promptly. Else I'm going to be in trouble. Big trouble. From the speech of Her Excellency Chief Mrs. Saraki, when you see powerful women in Yoruba land, you will call them witches. In fact, I like those witches that are very powerful in Yoruba land. Princess Ademelu, you are one of them. You are very powerful. Please, a resounding round of applause for that. And I know what I know. She has a lot of influence over a lot of things that I do. Very positively. She's very forward-looking, very progressive in her thoughts, in everything she does. She's the architect and the brain behind where we are all here. God Almighty will continue to give you strength, honor you in every of your endeavors in life. I am very proud of you. Keep it up. Fire on. I call you Alpha Female. Keep up the good work. I was in Kwara a week ago, and I sat next to Her Excellency Ambassador And I said, Ambassador, are you coming for this? She said, oh yes, I'm going to come. With her refined English, you know I said she speaks better than me. Huh? I'm struggling. And she said, oh, Princess is doing very well. And I said, yes, I know. And I told her, thank you so very much for supporting her. I managed to, that Cockney English. I'm not used to that kind of system. She is Ajebo, I am Ajepako. But, talking seriously, the number one citizen of this country, at some point in his life, aspired to rule us. A lot of people does not even have that God. One of the greatest achievements in this life is to take that leapfrog step. To the president of this country, it's a big deal. We have a woman in this place that is aspiring to be the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. A resounding round of applause for her. Please now, come on, you can't just fall my hand. That's a great achievement. You know I sing the praises all the time, and I will continue to sing the praises. You are actually giving a lot of people hope you might not know. Keep up the good work. A lot of people say, oh, you're just wasting your time, you're trying to negotiate for something. But stand up for something. And you've actually done that. And I am very proud. Keep it up. Don't be discouraged. We're celebrating you here. You're one of the reasons why we're here. All the great women in our midst. I'm so sorry I cannot mention all names because of time. Please pardon me. All the chiefs of Ife that are here, I thank you all for your support thus far. Thank you very much. To me, I think we haven't celebrated women enough, and it's not fair at all. It's not fair at all. They keep this world going, and we should do more than what we're doing. On the final note, the book Unspoken will be spoken about from all the four corners of this world. I am offering prayers, and the people behind it, I will continue to show appreciation for everything you've done. Baruch Aki Oshuto. Please, and all our women, please sit down. Do not stand up. I don't want any of you to be seated. On behalf of all the men folks, we're sorry that whom I have a very high regard for. Please a resounding round of applause for him too. We want to thank you. And this book is dedicated to all of you. All women here. Please, I want all of us to start clapping for them now. Please. Madam, I want you to see them. Let us show appreciation. When last did you celebrate your wife, your girlfriend, your mothers? When last did you say thank you to them? You are not clapping again, and it's unfair. see them, just show appreciation. If you can stretch a hand of fellowship to them, maybe to shake them or to honor them, just show appreciation. We're here to show appreciation for you all. Thank you very much. God bless you. On this last note, you will sing this song for me. It's Yoruba, but you will join me till.
For this great timely book, Princess Ronke, for this great timely book. It couldn't have come at a better time, a time where women are choosing to break the bias and choosing to challenge themselves in everything they do. My stems from the importance of women standing up. We need to stand up, we need to step out, and we need to be counted in everything, in governance and everything that has to do with welfare of the country. Women and sustainability go hand in hand. So anything that we do, if we do not step out, if we are not counted, then we will not be able to make a difference. So I crave your indulgence, I crave your support, and I hope that
Of course, here today, as many people have noted, the book is titled Unspoken, and I find it to be a very, very powerful title. I'm a writer, I'm a storyteller, and about 15 years ago I wrote a story about a warrior queen and an untold story. And at the time I didn't even know that we had people like Alaafin Oropoto. I did not know about her until about 7 years ago. She was someone who, during her reign, the Empire of Oyo actually rose as a cavalry state. So the strength of the empire was actually reinforced during her reign. And very few people knew about her. When you're in primary school, from your school books, you learn about Queen Amina of Zaria. So to a certain extent, Queen Amina is a popular figure, a popular culture figure. But we don't know about these queens, the kings, the obas that we have in Europa land. It was only in a conversation with Princess Ronke herself about 2 years ago that I learned of Luo Zangina for the very first time. So I think that women themselves have to take the reins in telling the stories of past achievements by women, leadership of women in the past in our societies, because that's the way in which we're going to lift the male gaze. When we tell these stories, we also have to challenge ourselves and to ask uncomfortable questions. Okay, so we had 2 days of Akure in the past. We've had Luo Bagida, we've had Oropoto, and so many others. And even women who led in battle, women who were scribes, who were telling stories, just as this book is doing. So if we had them, why was information or knowledge about them, how did it die out? What were the challenges they faced? Why did Oropoto, for instance, have to pretend to be a man? Why did she actually hide her gender? So during the reign of Luo Bagida, for instance, also, Ife rose in terms of artistic excellence and aesthetics. What were the challenges? What led to it? Why, you couldn't have a female Ooni anymore? And women have to tell the stories, and women have to step into the breach as the presidential aspirant has done. You have to step into the breach, and you have to banish incredulity. And I will leave it there. So I look at this book, Unspoken, about Obinrin, as a start in us telling the stories of women achievements in society, because that is how we're going to reflect onto the upcoming female generation that, look, it's been done. When we say we want better female representation, it's been done. It's not a new thing, it's been done, and so why aren't we doing it now? And when people know of these stories of the past, they will be better encouraged to actually step into the breach. Thank you very much.
With honor women, because I honor women in my life. I'm always pleased to acknowledge the power of women in our society, in our politics, as this book does in our history. It's a remarkable thing that men are given power and authority by virtue of their sex. It's also a fact that women are the majority of our population, that in every aspect of business or politics, the participation of women improves the product. So it's difficult to understand. Women are the highest number of voters. It's difficult to understand, therefore, why we continue to return 3% of women to our parliaments. And of course, if you think that what our parliaments are doing, what our governments are doing is just fine, then you see there's nothing wrong with the deprivation of women and the exclusion of women in the government of our country. I think, certainly not myself, but a lot of men are intimidated by competent women. Men are better able to manage women when they sexualize and commoditize them. And this is why when big men gather, there's going to be some silly joke about your girlfriend or about some woman's backside. This sort of thing is a trivialization which undermines the intellect and the power which men pretend in the authority they have seized by history and culture from the rest of the world. So, well, I don't want to lecture and I don't want to harangue, and I hope I've got to my 3 minutes. But I, as one man, I think that rather than just clapping for women, I think that it's very important because I'm a husband, I am a son of a woman, I have daughters who are strong and powerful and who can contend with any man in any room. And I think that it's important to take advantage of their skill, their education, their experience, and for us men to chill a little, you know. We're the weaker sex, you know. In any encounter, even in the sexual encounters that men boast of, they are the weaker sex. So let's just get a hang of it and say thank you to our mothers and to our wives and to our sisters and to our girlfriends. May God bless them and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because some people do that and they think I'm one of the last 28 wives. I miss Mr. Ransom-Kuti, head of the Ransom-Kuti family. His Royal Highness, Your Majesty, Imperial Majesty, Royal Monarch, Imperial, all of the above. I want to congratulate you. Because it takes a strong man, an enlightened man, to acknowledge the role of women and to support them the way you are doing. We had the graduation of the Academy of Women Away program. I was with you. He does so much for women and girls. Please give him another round of applause. It shows your wisdom in spite of your age. It's not about age, is it? It's about what's up there. I want to congratulate Princess Ademiluyi for this incredible work. Where are you? Congratulations. I have so many Abros here. Where is she? Deborah Williams is here. So many Abros are here. She's hiding there. Please give her a wonderful round of applause. When women step up, we must congratulate them with gusto. And so far, I won't go into it. You bring a Ransom-Kuti here and you want to talk about challenges of female leadership. What I should just tell you is that there's no challenge now. In our own family, women are just, we don't remember that we're women. We're just a human being first. When I was young, my father brought me a set of shorts so that when I'm climbing the trees with the boys, nobody can see where they should not go and see. So I can do anything about we can do everything that each one of us can do so that we can become whole human beings. So the men can be whole. So they don't feel this nonsense about their head. Who's anybody's head? Everybody gets head now. Why do you want to be somebody else's head? Manage your own head very well. And the world will be very okay. Now, the main challenge I see is ignorance. It's only when you are ignorant that you don't know who you are. You don't know your place in the world. You don't know history. You don't know the evolution of mankind. You don't know that the first human being must have been a woman. Don't worry about that story they tell you and read you in some places. The first human being, I don't know what would have come before, must have been a woman, but it must, because that person must have passed through nowhere. So, it is education, not school education. I'm talking of educating yourself. My sister sitting at the back there, get a book, internet, find out the information for yourself. You don't need to go to school and get PhD and degree to be a knowledgeable person. Obinrin that they are talking about, did they go to university before they were able to lead? So get the knowledge, get the information, get the education. Don't wait for government until government does it. You have the right to educate yourself, the responsibility to educate yourself. Because when you know, you know. Nobody can take it from you. You have the confidence to step up and step into the role, whichever role that is great, that you find that is needed. I recommend a book for.
And my own KBC allowance, KBC Ekiti, and Irilu, my dear sister, and Excellency. On behalf of the Governing Council of Chestnut Global, of which I'm chair, our stands for bold, pathfinding women of Africa. We also have the book, Bold on Purpose, written by Bold on Purpose by Dr. Lola Jari.
Move back now.
All right.
Let's move back. Let's move back.
Thank you. Adoni Nefertiti, you are next. Please.
Mo bá kíkanjú obìnrin akọni obìnrin àyà rere lọ́dẹ ọkọ. Wọ́n rẹ̀ bí àjà sóró, wọ́n rẹ̀ bí àjà sóró, owó rẹ̀ bí àjà sóró. Èrè kárẹ̀ lẹ́bi o, èrè kárẹ̀ lẹ́bi o. Ajé ọjà ìfẹ́ èrè kárẹ̀ lẹ́bi o. Ilẹ̀ Èkó láwà yìí kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ kó sàn wá sọ́wọ́ kó máa túbọ̀ sàn wá sọ́mọ lọ́nà kí kábíyèsí kẹ́sẹ̀ ọba yóò jẹ kó pẹ́ kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wa jẹ̀pẹ́ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá yìí nílẹ̀ Oòduà yìí kẹ́ẹ̀pẹ́ fún wa pẹ́ 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 káwa náà má kàbùkù lọ́wọ́ yín. Kí lẹ́jú pé owó lẹ́jú pé mo pé kí ló fi ṣe aṣọ ló fi rà aṣọ kí ẹwà o gẹ́gẹ́ òyìnbó ẹjú jalè o. Ọlọ́ba o ọlọ́ba o ọlọ́ba ọlọ́ba o.
ní Oduduwa, of the entire black race. And they've unveiled the book already. Then can I take the Balogun? Can I take it back then? I thought you said I should use something to unveil it. I'm using 1 million naira to unveil the book. Big round of applause for that. First lady for Your Excellency, Ambassador Doc.
Well, somebody has already said he has taken permission of my husband, so I believe they've spoken, and this book has been unveiled by my husband, I believe, with my support for an undisclosed sum. Thank you so much. A big round of applause. Will disclose to us privately.
I have already done that.
On behalf of myself and I will support Oduduwa, not your traditional 200 now. Big round of applause.
On behalf of Europa Kingdom,
Sujimoto, where are you? I saw you probably, you came in at the right time. Where is Gigi Ogundele?
I'm very proud. I cannot support.
Mr. Jimmy.
presidential hopeful. What I can do. Don't worry. Do you keep the very I'm so kind
We give all glory to God for making it a successful event. I came here as a representative of our president, Ooni Ajasoro. That's Yeye Ooni Short Comfort, and also she's out of the country at the moment, and she called me that I should please represent her. I had to drop all I was doing to make sure I'm here. And Princess Romike, she's a sister, a friend, and I really admire her strength, her creativity, her insight in making things work. And she's an inspiration to so many people. And our royal father, thank you so much for all the support. It has been a wonderful event, and we thank each and every one who came to support the launch of this book. And may joy, good news, celebrations never cease in all our lives in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you, and we wish you all a safe journey back to your respective homes. And you meet all your family in one place. God bless you. We meet again.
Thank you.
La foi